Scientists believe that such assertions miss the point of the issue, and the issue is not what has not been accomplished by animal use in biomedical research, but what has been accomplished. A longer lifespan has been achieved, decreased infant mortality has occurred, effective treatments have been developed for many diseases, and the quality of life has been enhanced for mankind in general. One demonstration of the critical role that animals play in medical and scientific advances is that 54 of 76 Nobel Prizes awarded in physiology or medicine since 1901 have been for discoveries and advances made through the use of experimental animals. Among these have been the prize awarded in 1985 for the studies using dogs that documented the relationship between cholesterol and heart disease, the 1966 prize for the studies using chickens that linked viruses and cancer, and the 1960 prize for studies using cattle, mice, and chicken embryos that established that a body can be taught to accept tissues from different donors if it is inoculated with different types of tissues prior to birth or during the first year of life, a finding expected to help simplify and advance organ transplants in the future. Studies using animals also resulted in successful culture of the poliomyelitis virus. A Nobel Prize was awarded for this work in 1954. The discovery of insulin and treatment of diabetes, achieved through experiments using dogs, also earned the prize in 1923. In fact, virtually every advance in medical science in the 20th century, from antibiotics and vaccines to antidepressant drugs and organ transplants, have been achieved either directly or indirectly through the use of animals in laboratory experiments. The results of these experiments has been the elimination or control of many infectious diseases, smallpox, poliomyelitis, measles, and the development of numerous life-saving techniques. Blood transfusions, burn therapy, open heart and brain surgery. This has meant a longer, healthier, better life with much less pain and suffering. For many, it has meant life itself. Often forgotten in the rhetoric is the fact that humans do participate in biomedical research in the form of clinical trials. They experience pain and are injured, and in fact, some of them die from this participation. Hence, scientists are not asking animals to be guinea pigs alone for the glory of science. Scientists feel that it is essential for the public to understand that had scientific research been restrained in the first decade of the 20th century, as anti-vivisectionists and activists were then and are today urging, many millions of Americans alive and healthy today would never have been born or would have suffered a premature death. Their parents or grandparents would have died from diphtheria, scarlet fever, tuberculosis, diabetes, appendicitis, and countless other diseases and disorders. The danger of restricting research. The activities and arguments of animal rights and animal welfare activists and organizations present the American people with some fundamental decisions that must be made regarding the use of animals in biomedical research. The fundamental issue raised by the philosophy of the animal rights movement is that whether man has the right to use animals in a way that causes them to suffer and die. To accept the philosophical and moral viewpoint of the animal rights movement would require a total ban on the use of animals in any scientific research and testing. The consequences of such a step were set forth by the Office of Technology Assessment, OTA, on its report to Congress. Implementation of this option would effectively arrest most basic biomedical and behavioral research and toxicology testing in the United States. The economic and public health consequences of that, the OTA warned Congress, are so unpredictable and speculative that this course of action should be considered dangerous. No nation and no jurisdiction within the United States has yet adopted such a ban. Although laws to ban the use of animals in biomedical research have been introduced into a number of state legislatures, neither a majority of the American people nor their elected representatives have ever supported these bills. Another aspect of the use of animals in biomedical research that has received little consideration is the economic consequences of regulatory change. Clearly, other nations are not curtailing the use of animals to any significant degree. Some of these, like Japan, are major competitors of the United States in biomedical research. Given the economic climate in the United States, our massive trade imbalances, and our loss of leadership in many areas, can the United States afford not to keep a leading industry, i.e., biomedical science developing as rapidly as possible, many nations are in positions to assume leadership roles, and the long-term economic impact on our citizens could be profound. This economic impact would be expressed in many ways, not the least of which would certainly be a reduction in the quality and number of health services available for people who need them. Through polls and by other means, the American people have indicated that they support the use of animals in research and testing. At the same time, they have expressed a strong wish that the animals be protected against any unnecessary pain and suffering. The true question, therefore, is how to achieve this without interfering with the performance of necessary research. Scientists already comply with a host of federal, state, municipal, and institutional guidelines and laws. However, in this era of cost containment, they fear that overregulation will become so costly that research progress will suffer. Scientists emphasize that a reasonable balance must be achieved between increased restrictions and increased cost. What must be recognized, says scientists, is that it is not possible to protect all animals against pain and still conduct meaningful research. No legislation and no standard of humane care can eliminate this necessity. The only alternative is either to eliminate the research, as animal rights adherents urge, and forego the knowledge and the benefit of health-related research that would result, or to inflict the pain and suffering on human beings by using them as research subjects. The desire by animal welfare proponents to ensure maximum comfort and minimal pain to research animals is understandable, and appeals to scientists, the public, and to legislators. But what also must be recognized and weighed in the balance is the price paid in terms of human pain and suffering if overtly protective measures are adopted that impede or prevent the use of animals in biomedical research. In short, the American people should not be misled by emotional appeals and philosophic rhetoric on this issue. Biomedical research using animals is essential to continued progress in clinical medicine. Animal research holds the key for solutions to AIDS, cancer, heart disease, aging, and congenital defects. In discussing legislation concerning animal experimentation, the prominent physician and physiologist Dr. Walter B. Cannon stated in 1896 that the anti-vivisections are the second of the two types Theodore Roosevelt described when he said common sense without conscience may lead to crime, but conscience without common sense may lead to folly, which is the handmaiden of crime. The American Medical Association has been an outspoken proponent for biomedical research for over 100 years, and that tradition continues today. The association believes that research involving animals is absolutely essential to maintaining and improving the health of the American people. The association is opposed to any legislation or regulation that would inappropriately limit such research and actively supports all legislative efforts to ensure the continued use of animals in research while providing for the humane treatment.